Well, welcome back, my friends, to another rousing rendition of Choir Boys Outdoors, a knife contest rendition. Listen, I did an introductory video for the knife contest. We announced the winner. What I want to do in this video is show some of the judging and show some of the testing. It is a long video, I get it, but I'm also not one of these guys that whine and piss and moan when people don't watch a video. I do want to say this. I have notes from 12 people that were at the gathering. I am showing Blackie, Dakota, and Bear, Blackie Thomas, Dakota of the Woods, and Bear's Old Ways are their channel because they co-sponsored this event with me. Several people just did not want to be on camera, and I understand that. What you're going to see is Blackie, Dakota, and Bear's initial thoughts. We did testing later on. I did most of the testing later on, but these are a first-hand look. Their first time looking at the knives. I find it interesting what they say. I thought you might, especially those of you who entered the contest. I'm not going to make this long. I do want to say this. There was a young man that I asked to be a judge, Mr. Walker. Walker took his time, he went through, he judged each knife, and he gave his thoughts. He's also the only judge who, while sitting there, picked up the knives and used them. Walker is not 18 years of age, and in today's current climate of just pure stupidity on YouTube, I won't be able to show him. But I do want to say this to you, Walker. Thank you for your candor. Thank you for your honest opinion. Thank you for giving your thoughts. And you had a hand in the judging. I would also say this, and it's hard for me not to get really aggravated with stuff like this, but I'm not going to. Walker, you say, well, Scab, why would you let somebody under 18 judge? Well, because he's a well-spoken young man who actually uses knives. He is the next generation. Also, he has designed a knife that William Collins made. And it is a good knife. So Walker understands knives, and I wanted to get that perspective. I wasn't even going to do an intro, but the more I thought about it, it would be a disservice to him. So Walker, on behalf of myself, Mr. Blackie, Mr. Dakota, and Mr. Bear, we thank you, my friend. We thank you, and we look forward to camping with you each and every year. Having said that, guys, check out the footage. Enjoy it. This is the last time you'll hear or see me. I know you're rejoicing. I'm Scab. You're not. Check out the film.
All right, we're going to start with this knife. Number one. This is a heavy knife. Smooth finish on it. They did really well at contouring. This is not truly a round handle. He or she did contour it, so it does ergonomically fit in the hand well. I can see this knife with the roll of the belly. It's got a little bit of a roach belly, being a really good slicer. This would be a really good meat processing knife. You've got a good 90-degree spine on it. So for a hunter, this style would be good, especially for big game, because you're going to be doing big. It's got enough backbone in it, you could break the ribs with this and get the ribs out to get the rib meat. So it does seem to be a good, strong pry knife. Now, that's not going to be true of any design. But this being a solid billet, it would have a lot of strength and pry, like for getting the ribs out, and etc., getting the meat off the hams, etc. So for a processing knife, game knife. The curve to it fits well in the hand, almost like a kukri, the roll down. I can see that. Now, constructive criticism. It's a little wide for doing detail bushcraft things like cuts where you got to get in and do notches. It's a little too wide for that. But if someone's not doing that type of skill, that wouldn't be a problem. But for a general camp knife, a use it knife, build shelters knife, etc., yeah, I could see this would serve well for it. Decent little sheath, and we understand everybody is practicing and learning. That's not a big thing. He selected a slightly off vertical carry. That's fine. That way it's not truly vertical. It's actually a little bit of an angle. Easy to ergonomically pull it. Good ferro rod with it. Okay. That's number one. Number two. Nice sheath. Ring drop sheath. Easy to carry and winter time because you can maneuver around with it. More of a classic bushcraft knife. I like the design. You get 3 grips with this type of knife. You can choke up high for detail work, standard grip, and then you can choke down low. You put your pinky through that so it can't come out of your hand, so you got a chopper when you got to whack something. Good thick piece of steel. Good 90-degree edge. Be good for making shavings and stuff like that. I like that he left the hollows so you can lash it to something easy if you needed a spear for whatever. The bevel seems to be even. His lines are good and clean. It does drop just slightly, and yet the point is just slightly off center for doing bow drills and straight down. Good edge on it, good clean mark, good clean bevel to it. No waves in it. Very full in the hand. I like a slightly thinner knife, but this would be very usable. Full tang. He's even got the lanyard hole in the back. That can also be used. It's got 2 90-degree spines where you can take it for gouging out a bowl for a spoon. Okay? Next. Good thick piece of steel. I like the way it rolls here so that your fingers can fit on it easily when you're choking up on it. You have a finger guard right there to keep your hand from going up on the blade. Very good addition. This one also has that, so does this one. But it keeps you from hand sliding up. Fits in the hand well. 90 degrees on it, yes. It's in line for doing turns, etc. Be good for shaving, for making knife. This would be a very good camp knife for predominantly doing witchcraft to make a fire, make shelter, etc. The thing does not stick up in the back like this one does, but it is a good, solid, usable one. I like the fact you've got a cholo right there, or a relief card right there. Keep that edge from cracking out. That's where a lot of knives fail, is right there at that 90-degree transition from a thin, sharp edge to a blunt edge if you're doing any kind of frying. So that should work well. Very, very nice sheath for this one. Okay, more of a tactical design. Again, full tang. A little narrower. I like that. It fits my hand well. Also, I like that where I can choke up on my thumb. Get up here and do detail work. It does not have a 90-degree spine on the back, so it'd be difficult to do a ferrule rod with it from the rear. Would be a good pull cut knife. Again, like the first one, this would be a good meat processor for a hunter slash woodscraft. Rod knife gives you a lot of strength. A narrow knife is better for doing detail cuts if you're going to be making traps, stuff like that. Good solid in the hand. Again, a finger guard so you're not going to ride it up, and it does have the relief cut right there. So we're not going to have to worry about cracking and failing there. The point is centered up on the main line for doing detailed drilling and things like that. I like the hump on the back of the place for your thumb to be for power cuts and stuff like that, for shearing. It'll draw cut well. Tight sheath, good in all weathers. Also has leather on it so you can fit on a belt pretty easy. Retains it well. Okay. Our last one. More of a point, more of a scalper knife. Like the contour of the handle. Isn't wavy, it's well done. It's micarta, which means it's going to be tough and durable. Comes to a point. The point is when you line your wrist up in line for doing it. Now this would be more, you could choke up on the blade for doing detail work with just that tip. Be good for straight cuts rather than the draw cut. Got some roach belly on it. Be good for piercing as well. Be a good game, small game, bird knife where you need the tip. This one and this one and this one might have a little bit of, well, this one and this one and this one would be a little more difficult in skinning because that tip would be a little bit more. This is more of a point. It'd be a better skinning. 90 degree on the back. And not quite 90. So it's going to have a little bit of trouble. I don't know. It wouldn't do a ferro rod because of that. Sheath. Got a uni-clip. Does it lock in place? Yes. Got a uni-clip to clip it on to whatever you need to hook it to. You can of course adjust this by the screws to move it around if you need it to. Good companion blade to carry along. Okay, therefore, my number one choice.
We got our 5 contestants here. I'm going to go from left to right. Starting out, I do believe in sheaves. Sheaves are going to keep you safe when this thing's not in use, so sheaves really do come into play for me as an outdoorsman, considering I run a lot of trot blinds, and I'm typically sitting in a lot of ground blinds where I'm right up close to my knife. So I want to have a good, reliable sheath. Off the front, I will say that I do like this one here because it's flexible, which is going to give your knife the ability to move around as opposed to necessarily cut through the sheath, so I do like that. And it does have a place to carry a ferrocerium rod. In terms of use of the ferrocerium rod, it does throw sparks, as you can see. I'm getting kind of used to this. I like the forward-mounted grip when it comes to, or the forward-mounted edge when it comes to slicing into things, because it's putting the weight into what you're chopping. This also means that if you're cleaning up game, maybe you're cutting the heads off brim or whatever, you get a good stout edge there. And this geometry makes it a lot easier when you're standing over a bigger animal to be standing and also clean out a gut, because it's not a straight edge, so it's actually sitting in an area where you don't have to be up near that edge. So I do like that. Very stout. Seems like I could really put a hurting on this thing without it failing. In terms of the steel, it seems to be holding up very well. I just did some sparks with the ferrocerium rod, and it does hold up fairly decently here. Very, very minor movement in the edge of that blade, or the edge of that spine there, so I do like that. And the other thing I really like about it, me personally, is when I'm cleaning up small, trees or whatnot to make something look pretty for a bushcraft event, I can put my finger here and actually use this to flesh. So I do like that, and that stoutness when you come up to that small shrub that you want gone, but you don't want to have to carry some sort of cutting tool to do that. This has the weight behind it to get the job done, so I really, really like this guy right here. I believe that's the way it was sitting in the sheath. Now the second one here is a design that I particularly care for because I'm more of a Kephart kind of person. I like that slight drop. As for the grind, I do believe this would be quite easy for you to maintain in the field because it has that very specific bevel. So field maintenance is great. The weight of this blade is awesome for a general purpose blade. I wouldn't recommend, trying to do what we talk about here, or taking a limb off of a tree, though I do believe it could be done with that slight forward. That also affords it, again, like this one did, to be over the chest cavity of an animal, cleaning that up. I like that. In terms of ferrocerium, oh yeah, that guy's grabbing it. That's sending sparks. I'm going to tell you right now, that's sending sparks right there. And it does have a micarta sheath that gives us the opportunity, a micarta handle, which gives us the opportunity to really lay in on this thing and not have to worry about the longevity of your handle as opposed to the wood, which I do like in terms of appealingness, but when it comes down to raw rigidity, the micarta is a good win there. Again, really nice sheath, extremely stout. It's going to hold this guy in there very, very well, and this affords you the ability to either hang it anywhere you want or let it dangle freely, which means when you're sitting in that deer stand and you want to slide it behind you, you don't have to reinvent the wheel or turn into a pretzel to do so. Really like that. Sheath's looking really nice. So far, that's the nicest sheath we've seen so far, but these are pretty well matched in terms of capability. Now this guy right here, the sheath I actually own one of, so I'm going to be honest with you all, I have that a slight experience differentiation between this sheath and these blades. I will say that this is an amazing sheath. It does all of what both of these do and more, so I love this sheath particularly, already won that. In terms of the blade itself, holds a pretty good edge. I was cutting with this earlier, and it also, there was a fairly decent spark. It's not, it doesn't really bite too much, so you are going to have to get a good angle on that. But in terms of the handle, this is an extremely comfortable handle. Something that if I was going to be told I had to go beat on stuff to maybe make one of these, or do some serious continual cutting of larger sticks down to smaller sticks, I'd go with this guy here. Really stout. It's short. It's got that French trade design to it, and it also has a quite easy to distinguish bevel down here, which means in the field you're going to be able to see that bevel and take care of it a lot easier than, say, something like a flat grind where that very tip is just not very visible. I also like how they drop this tip here. That means it's going to be a lot more stout than normal, so you're not going to have the breaking in the field. So I really love that about this one here. All right. Okay. Really weighty. I haven't gotten a chance to play with this one yet. It's the blade itself is kind of, the face is a little long, but it does afford itself structure when you're cutting into things like bone. If you're continually cleaning carp, for example, there's a lot of thick bones in there that will afford you over long term of using this the ability to have so much blade. So I really do like that. And just like this first one, it has enough weight behind it. It's very balanced weight. And it's going to be something you can really chop a small green limb off of, make some pot hangers, or whatever. It's pretty nice there. In terms of holding this thing, it's extremely comfortable in this particular standpoint. One critique I would recommend is possibly dropping this down a tad bit so that you can get your finger in there comfortably. I do love that you have the entire blade to work with. That's something that I personally like. If I've got a big knife, I want big blade, I want all of it, and I have that here. The sheath is very nice. It's something that you could sit in or outside of a belt, which means if you're trying to do some, more minimal work, or maybe this is your everyday carry big blade. Maybe you're doing, I do believe Mr. Scab is in land survey, so it's nice to be able to carry something like this that's not dangling off your body and getting caught up on things. This is going to solve that problem, and it's going to sit a lot more conveniently on something like a molly pack. I do really like that. And I mean, there's something to be said about a micarta sheath. It's kind of hard to destroy those without melting them on purpose. Lastly here, in terms of raw appeal, I definitely love this already up front. Raw appeal is nice, and before we move forward, I did want to strike this guy back here. That's probably one of the only things I didn't like about this one. I just want to make sure that was the one. Sorry about that, y'all. But that's okay. Ferrocerium strikers exist for a reason, and I personally don't have, as an example, I have a Kepler knife. I don't really use the back of my knife anyway. So that's not a big strike on me. But back to this guy. This right here is going to be something that you can use to clean up a lot of fur-bearing game. I love that. Off the rip, it's got a nice tip. You can put a small pommel down there, get a small hole going, so it's going to be a lot easier for you to craft with this. It's a lot more nimble of a blade. It's very comfortable, like I was talking about in the back end, and it still has that slight taper up, which means I get a good, solid, long blade. So maybe you're skinning elk, if anybody's ever skinned down an elk before. Having a lot of blade that can touch surface is really nice. I do appreciate that. And this is a very nice, flat, easy, again, extremely easy to maintain, extremely sharp knife. It's going to be the best all-around outdoorsman knife that I've seen on the table so far. And the micarta sheath, it being so slick, you would think that, handle, you'd think that that would give you an issue when your hand is wet. But the shape of this being a little bit thinner lets your hand actually wrap all the way around that blade, so you can save that weight and still have a good purchase. Really nice there. And then lastly, oh yeah, yes, and again, raw appeal as well. Great. And this plays off of the other
Vision on you.
Hey guys, I'm here reviewing some knives for Scab and for Blackie. As I've told you before, I'm not really a knife guy, but these are the ones, this is just what appeals to me. I love the weight of this one. And with that, see if I can hold it. If you look at this arch right here, to me, that just fits. And if I'm chopping, it adds that much to it. I like that thick spine. That would be good. All right. Number 2, contestant number 2.
Contestant number 2.
Oh yeah. This has sort of the same arched spine as the first one. And I like that. Got the good wide spine. It's not quite as heavy as this one, which probably means I could work just a little bit longer with it. Let there be light.
Let there be light. Thank you, Mr. Steve.
Thanks, Steve. So anyway, This has a good balance to it, and it fits my hand. Okay, guys, look at the hand. Okay, from right over here to right over here, it's 10.5 inches. All right, this fits. Yeah. All right. Well, I was hoping I could set that one up there. Contestant number 3. Y'all, I think I'm in knife heaven. These are robust utility knives. That's what I like. I like a robust knife. Good white spine. Almost pulled a scab there. Don't know if you noticed that or not. But I love this spine. The heft of it is good. Now this one, I'm gonna call it a hogback. Okay, those of you who know anything about old sailing ships, you know what a hogback is. This doesn't have one. Okay, if it had a little bit of a hogback, to me it would be absolutely perfect. But this is a very good blade. A very good blade. I like it. Oh yeah, I love that little divot. It's got a little divot here at the end. Now, I don't know who submitted these. This is just a blind review, okay? Just so you'll know. Love that white spines must be in season this year. Must be in vogue.
I like them.
I like
Just
this.
for me personally, that's just kind of my jam.
Yeah, this has got a lot of good heft. It's almost equal, but I do like that little hogback on it. The way that my thumb and my forefinger lock right here, that that makes up for not having a true hogback, except right here. Well, a little bit of one right there, but that locks. I like that. That's not going anywhere.
I'll tell you one thing that the only thing that I would add is there's something about each one that really resonates with me, and I'm kind of surprised at that. A little different on each one, but that's one of the things that resonates with me on that one.
Well, these are all outstanding creations. Yeah. The guys that sent these in, they're awesome. Nice wide spine. That little bit of a hogback, but it's got this little finger up under here, this little finger groove right here. I like that. I don't think that if I were like taking apart a deer, I don't think this would slip. I think this would keep my hands safe. ready to score.
We are. Justin, will you write that down for me? Notebook's right there.
All right. Now, going with, I guess I should have left that where it was at. Starting this way.
Well, and just like that, I'm back. Listen, I hope you enjoyed a little bit of that. I discovered a couple things while I was editing and trying to put this together. There was a lot of problem with the footage I shot. So here's what I'm going to do, and here's what I think I need to do. We didn't auction anything off. That's a lie. We did a drawing for Randy's knife at the end of the gathering. Per Randy's request, Blackie did a drawing, so Randy's knife was drawn there. Randy wanted to give it away at the gathering. That's what we did. There are 4 knives left. Ken's, Cap's, Billy's, and Jerv's. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hone them up this week. This weekend, I'm going to do reviews on all 4. I think that's the fairest thing to do so that you can see how these knives functioned and how they performed. I apologize, guys. Everybody knows I'm a technological idiot. However, I hope you did garner something out of the judging. Now, again, this was kind of a pre-judging first look type thing. I did remove their order. I didn't want to throw any more confusion into what's there. Like I said, I have a notebook full of notes. Very, very fair contest. We took great pains to make that. So, my apologies on some of the footage. I haven't lost it. Just trying to get it in, man, it's a mess. So, instead of doing that, instead of me getting frustrated, instead of me tainting a video, I'm going to do the 4 reviews on the 4 knives that were entered, sans Randy's, who we had a drawing for Saturday night per his request. I think that's the best thing. We can see how they perform, see how they hold up. Cap, in fact, reached out to me today and said, Cap, let's sacrifice my blade to science. I want to see how it holds up to hard use testing for future. So, I'm going to review them. That's what we'll do. Thank you guys for watching. Remember, I love you. I'm Scab. You're not. 22 veterans a day take their own lives, guys. If you are a vet, we love you. You have a place here. You're welcome here. I back the blue. I don't ask you to do so. Finally, if you are an addict, never quit quitting. Well, this has been a long video, and if you made it through it, thank you. If you just skipped through it, thank you. I love y'all. I'm Scab. You're not. I'm gone, son.